you made a point right now about the fact that, you know, if it wasn't for him, maybe Trump doesn't become a president. And you're absolutely right, indirectly.
Well, look, the thing is, like, in an election as close as the 2016 election was, any one major factor, you know, kind of is the difference. So, you know, that was certainly a major factor. I just can't get past, look, man, this guy was sexting with an underage girl, totally humiliated his family publicly, and then the idea that he's just like morally lecturing you, that you had the nerve to bring up the fact that it, like, a ridiculous amount of people very close to the Clintons have died. And like, but you're just not allowed to you didn't say, the Clintons have murdered these people. You went, hey, what's up with this? And just like the moral, like, condescending to you as if this was some outrageous offense. Like, what, we're not allowed to even think of the possibility that maybe politicians have people murdered? Like, now who's being naive, Kay? You know, like that famous line from The Godfather? Look, these people, the Clintons, these are people who we all know have had people murdered in mass numbers. We just call that foreign policy. We just call that when they decide we're going to go on a bombing campaign in Iraq, as Bill Clinton did throughout both of his terms, had a massive blockade around Iraq where the UN estimated 500,000 children starved to death, okay? This was the UN's estimates. I'm not sure if they're right or not. But the idea that people who do that for a living would be so uncomfortable also off the clock, being like, yeah, I'm okay with this guy being killed, is not that wild of a jump to me. And if you want to do a deep dive into it, I'm not going to go full Alex Jones here, but there's a lot of very suspicious deaths around the Clintons, and it's totally fair to bring that up.
Yeah, it's. By the way, I will say, have you seen his documentary or no? The documentary called Weiner, and it's not a porn. It's,
oh, no, no,
actually
yes,
a
I did.
documentary.
I did see it. I did. I forgot about it. I did. It's the documentary of his comeback.
When I watched it originally, I thought it starts in a weird way.
Nice
I'm
word
like,
there,
here's a documentary, Weiner. Last night I get home. Vinny, where's Vinny? Vinny, you told me to watch it. Vinny's somewhere around here. Yeah, he said, Pat, you may want to watch this documentary. I get home at midnight from here, and I sit down. I'm like, I'll watch half of it. I'll watch the other half in the morning. Next thing you know, an hour and a half later, I'm finishing the whole thing. It feels like 5 minutes. What they did during that campaign with him and his wife, everybody has to watch, because the one area you got to give him credit, this guy was an incredible campaigner. And if there's one quality that he has that's very hard for most people to have, and you almost need this, because obviously, you know, if you can get away with, you know, the texting side, set the texting part aside, and you just kind of flirt, and set the under the 18 side. He's a super competitive, psychopath competitor like many of these other guys, but the guy is shameless. And there was an element of being shameless and relentless that he was not gonna let that. Right after the second story comes out, he says, babe, there's a scene, you guys will see this. Right, there's like, so you're gonna get in the video or what? We gotta make a campaign video. It says, a story just came out that you just texted a 50. Do you wanna get here in this video or not? We need to make a campaign video. Do you understand what I just said?
There's one point, if you remember, I actually forgot about this documentary, but I did watch it. There's one point, it was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in a documentary, if you remember, right at the end, when the whole thing's just collapsing for him.
The girl's chasing him.
Everything's going down and is collapsing in the polls, and it's clearly not happening. And the guy behind the camera, he's in this moment where he's just so down, and the guy behind the camera actually asks him, he goes, why are you letting us do this? Like, why are you letting us record this moment? And he's just like, I don't know.
Oh, we asked him the question today. Adam, I think you asked him the question today. What was his answer to you? He says, I said, have you seen it? He says, I've never seen the documentary. And I said, how come you never seen it? He says, for an opportunity one day in an interview like this to tell you I've never seen it. I said, well, why haven't you? I said, why'd you even why'd you do it? What was the purpose of doing it? He says, I don't know, so people can kind of see what the story was like behind closed doors. You know, but when we asked him the question, I said, so what do you think about Hillary Clinton? You know, honorable, honest people? Very honorable. Very honest, great people, et cetera, et cetera. This guy literally sounded like a full-blown flag carrier, and the word that came out, I don't want to speculate anything, but I'll tell you the word that came out of my mind. And this word, I got to give credit to this word to, I believe, Vinny, if I'm not mistaken. You ever heard what a dead man switch is? You ever heard of a dead man switch? Yes. Can you pull up the definition of a dead man switch? A dead man's switch, okay? Okay, pull it up, zoom it in so we can read this. Adam, if you can move your feet, I can't see it.
Yes, sir.
Is a switch that is designed to be activated or deactivated if a human operator, go a little bit to the right, human operator becomes incapacitated, such as through death, loss of consciousness, or being bodily removed from control, originally applied to switches on a vehicle. So meaning, because he knows everything. I said, Anthony, you know. And there was a moment, it's like I'm saying, I know for a fact, you know what, nobody here knows more.
I don't know anything.
And he's looking at me like, you know, how are you alive? How are you alive? The only way you can be alive is because of this. Where they fear if they do something that maybe like this is going to come out and something's going to trigger story being emailed to everybody in media and they're going to be like, holy shit. So that is the only way I can, in my mind, justify why he's alive, why he builds them up, why they protect each other, and why the other people are sitting there saying, let's leave this guy alone. Now, obviously, all of this is speculation.
Yeah.
No one knows if there's credibility behind it or not, but it's worth speculating.
Well, I think that, like, one of the things that we kind of learned from the whole Jeffrey Epstein scandal is that there are, at least in this one major, like, example, there are these attempts to, like, gather blackmail on very powerful people. And this is part of the reason why really fucked up people rise to the top. Because people who are, say, like, if you're, say, texting with an underage girl and someone has information about that, they now can control you completely. That's what the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing was, essentially. He'd invite these powerful people out to parties. He'd be like, there's parties, there's tons of chicks there. There'd be cameras in every room. You go there, you hook up with one of the chicks. The next day, Jeffrey Epstein goes, by the way, she was 15, and also you're gonna be voting no on this legislation that's coming across your desk next week. Like, that was essentially, there's some speculation whether he was working for the CIA or Mossad or who he was working for exactly, but that's basically the operation. My guess would be someone like Anthony Weiner. We may know some of the dirt on him, but who knows how much dirt all of these people have on him. So he may be very required to, when Hillary Clinton comes up, you go to bat defending what a noble person she is, or else.
You know what's crazy, Pat, that blows my mind? That so many people are oblivious to this. How much back-end crap goes on, where there's blackmailing each other. Like, for example, you think about, like, the Clintons, for example. You're thinking about these powerful people. They've been in power. Like, to a normal, everyday person like you and me, you don't think about killing somebody because you don't have a lot to lose. You don't have anything to lose. You lose a job, you'll get the next one. You know, you lose whatever. You know, company fails, you're only making $200,000-$300,000 a year, you go start another company. But when you're in power for so many years at the highest level of your life, and you're making this much money, and that chair that you have makes you so much money, you'll do anything to keep it.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.